I would like to go ahead and call January 22nd, meeting 2013, call to order at 7:05. Kevin, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dickerson.
Here.
Ms. Gerber.
Here.
Mr. Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Packard.
Here.
Ms. Elliott.
Here.
5 present. We have a quorum.
If we could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. The first order of business is I'm going to do a State of the Village for the year 2012. 2012 was a very busy year for all of council and for me. We started the year off running with the Kroger project. Kroger had been working on their project for a couple years, so we had to play a lot of catch up. This project is going to jumpstart much needed revenue and job source for Amelia Village. It should hopefully bring an additional 400 to 600 jobs and a revenue source after build out of about 140 to 160,000 per year to the TIF, which was implemented by council to help the infrastructure in the area of the Kroger project. Also, we did a much needed road widening of State Route 125 Main Street from the Lorry Lane to the Tall Tree subdivision, giving them a turning lane in our Phase 1 project for State Route 125 and creating a safer highway for all to use. Also coming with the road widening will be a traffic signal for the Lorry Lane and Kroger project. Hopefully this will be completed in February. The fuel center should open very early this year too. I'm assuming they're waiting on that projected traffic light also. We also did upgrades on all sections of our zoning code, including hiring a new zoning inspector, Danny Spiegel. The village has been without a zoning inspector for several years. Hopefully we'll be able to bring our quality of living here in the village to new standards. Another much needed project, which had been in the works for a few years, was the completion of a new village policy manual. This project was completed going into the new year. One of our council members took on a project to bring it up to date our current liquor laws, Mr. Bob Pollitt. To be able to serve liquor by the glass will bring in new development in the restaurant field, creating again new jobs and revenues for the village. This is something that had been tried in the past but failed, and it only took this council member 80 years to get it passed. So Amelia is on the move. We brought in a new anchor store, being the new Kroger Marketplace, widened a major highway, installed electricity in Spencer Shank Park, got Church Street a much needed makeover, and with the help of Batavia Township and our other people, we got the historic house decorated for Christmas by Home Depot. The new year looks to be just as busy, if not more, with lots of new projects already in the works. All 5 major funds came in with a bigger bounce than we had in the last 4 years. Giving a percentage with the general fund, it came in at 69.97%, street maintenance at 81.42% higher, fire protection was 22.94% higher, and the pervasive MLV was 12.24% higher. So as we stand now, the village is on solid ground. In closing, we will keep moving forward. I would like to thank all of my staff and all of council for working so hard and making my first year as mayor a good one. And I'd like to thank you all. That is the state of the village, and it's nice to know we are on solid ground at the present time. Next order of business is approval of the previous meeting minutes for January 8th, 2013. Everybody have a copy of those? If so, and if they've been read at this time, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Packard.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
Next, we have a copy of the bills. Everybody got a copy? Make sure everybody's got one. Everybody's got a copy. At this time, I entertain a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion, we pay the bills.
I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
I have a second. Kevin, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
Did we do that on the minutes? We did, didn't we?
Roll call.
Yeah. Yes. Next topic is discussion on the Mitel agreement. Everybody's got a copy. We currently use Mitel for our phone services and have for some time. Julie has been working with them to see about doing a savings on a new contract. So they gave us two prices, one which is a 36-month term and one which is a 60-month term. And you can see the savings on both. I talked to Julie too also about checking with other services. The only problem going into other services is if we would take one of them, we would be looking at a lot more charges because we'd have to get new phones and the whole system would have to be changed. We couldn't use the current phones and lines and everything we have now. So that would be an additional cost on top of whatever the contract savings, like Cincinnati Bell would give us. They would also come in and have to restructure. And I think it would be easier, looking at these prices, to just continue on with Mitel because they came in with a pretty good percentage. And if we go over this and we get a contract at the next meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, we would also get 2 months free with Mitel.
First 2 months free.
The first 2 months free for this price. And that's with using the 36
That's good till the end of January.
to the end
That
of
deal
January.
is good till the end of January.
Maybe give them a call and see what they say. If not, then we may call a special meeting in order to get that 2 months free service. If that's the way council. I would prefer to go with a 36-month term. I don't like to extend it out past myself and all of council here to a further term to bring it on to new people. Does that make sense? I'd rather us be responsible for the term.
Are their phones still serviceable? Because at a certain point, they quit servicing the phones to get you to buy new phones.
That I do not know. As far as I know, we don't have any problems with our phone service, do we? And aren't we looking to cut some lines too? With this package would be a little less numbers
Yeah,
than
we
we
have
currently
100
have.
lines and we need about 40.
So as far as I know, they don't need to be, I haven't heard anything about having to update any of the equipment, have you?
No, we haven't. We haven't had to replace any equipment in years.
So if council's comfortable with the 36-month term, I'll have Julie get a hold of Mitel to see if they'll extend that 2 months for us into the next month. If they won't, council wants to, I could do a special meeting so we could.
They won't. I already asked them.
They won't do
Unless they
it,
move 2 months only with the 60 month.
please.
The way it looks on here, the 2 months only comes if you do the 60-month term. Then you get the 2 free months with a new contract.
Really?
So it says on here, it says
Yeah.
2 months
Yeah.
free service with
Yeah.
new 60-month contract. That's the only way you get those 2 months.
60 months is what, 5 years?
Good catch, Susan.
Putting it out there. I mean, it's whatever council wants to do. Either way, it's a savings on both of them from what we currently pay.
That's a lot of, that's $50 a month for, what kind of phones are we using? Are they Avaya, Cisco, probably Avaya phones?
Intertel.
Intertel, okay.
So if that's the case, we'll do a little more research.
I think we're gonna need a special meeting next week anyway for the health insurance.
Okay. And when will you be going?
I'll be gone for at least 2 weeks. At least.
Starting what day?
Friday.
That puts us.
Unless y'all
pretty
want to come to
close.
my house. I can't even get in a car for 2 weeks.
Okay. We will work around that. I'll get with Julie and we'll get with Mitel. Does everybody feel comfortable with doing the 36 month, and I'll just go ahead and,
One of the reasons I say 36 months would be equipment. You know, next time they may outdate it and you have to, you know,
How
buy
long
all
have
new
we had,
equipment.
yeah, how long have we had this? Like the phones and everything?
We've
How-
had the phones since '05, I think.
Yeah, and they go about 10 years usually, and my experience with the couple I've had, so they make them obsolete, and then they can't service them anymore, so.
Right.
Okay, so I would say with your 36 month, that gets you in that window too.
anybody else on council feel about the 36 month contract?
That is a big
Like 60
difference.
months compared to,
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper to go with the 60 months.
if you look at it.
Does it,
I mean, I understand both sides, but if you look at 60 months and how much you save, and then you
It's
take,
a lot.
I mean, it's up to you guys. We can do some more research on it. But you're talking 5 years down the road, who
Yeah.
knows what with the way communications are and the way the computers go and the way
Mhm.
everything else. 5 years could be a whole new
yeah,
ballpark.
I agree.
So they won't upgrade the phones?
Well, I don't know, do the phones belong to them or do they belong to us?
They belong to us, we paid.
So we
thousands of
bought,
dollars.
yeah, we bought the phones. so.
So we would have to buy.
And actually, we have a maintenance agreement that expires in March. I've been meaning to ask them about that.
Okay,
I just wrote myself a note to do that.
okay.
But if you look at, just doing the math real quick, so I'm gonna be off by zero now, but I mean, that's $3,000 on the 60 month versus the 36, just at $50 a month. And then you figure in a couple free months there too, you're up to 4 Gs pretty quick. So that'd buy you a new set of phones right there probably for this place, I'd imagine.
3 years, those phones and everything might be obsolete anyway, and you might be using a whole different form. I mean, I don't know.
But if they're still working, I imagine they'll still keep them phones. I don't think phones have changed, I don't know. Because I think the phones we're using at work are relatively old, but then again, they're Avaya and,
It's whatever you guys want to do.
I think we need to find out about if they'll extend, possibly if we would go with the 60 month, if they would extend the maintenance on
The
the
service
phones.
warranty?
Yeah,
Mhm.
our service. Because I'd hate to go 60 months and then we have to, one of the phones.
Here come March, they don't do anything
Yeah.
on old phones.
I mean, I'd like to see that included.
Yeah.
We could do that. I mean, I agree with the 60 month is a better savings, and if we're gonna get that, I'd hate to get 60 months and then, like everything else that you own, as soon as the service plan's up, they go nuts.
Well, then
Just my thought.
we'll do some more research on the MyTel and bring
Okay.
it back. That's what I will do. Everybody comfortable with that?
yeah.
Next piece of business is we need to go into an executive session for consideration of purchase of real property. I will need a council member to read a motion, and council will need to vote on the motion to go into executive session.
I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session to consider the appointment and compensation of a public employee pursuant to revised code 121.22G1, and also to consider the purchase of property for public purpose. Ohio revised code 121.22G2.
At this time, I entertain a motion.
That was your motion.
I'll second.
I've got a second. Kevin, I need a roll call vote, please, and I'll have Derek give you that, so. You know,
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Packer.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Passes 5-0. We are in executive session.
All right, it's 7:20. We'll be back shortly if you guys can bear with us.
No.
And go ahead and bring us back in session at 7:40. Kevin, will you take a roll call vote, bringing us back from executive session, please?
Mr. Dickerson. Here. Ms. Gerber.
Here.
Mr. Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Thacker.
Here.
Ms. Elliott.
Do I need to do that in the motion, or can I just bring us back to order?
You're good.
Okay.
All present and accounted for.
Police chief report, please.
Okay, place some handouts out there so you can kind of go over the officer activity, primary and secondary. In the calls by the week, they're pretty even this time. One of the more notable events, we had a missing 13-year-old female. This all stemmed from a problem at school where she didn't want to give up her cell phone. So her father was going to go that day and get it at the school, get in her locker and get it, and the girl walked off at 5 in the morning. And we took the report, and she was found a few hours later, cold and hungry. I think she walked down 132 South. So luckily, it's hard to tell, and in today's times where something wouldn't happen to her, but we did get her back and took her to the hospital there and got her all checked out, and she's well. We've had a few cases being reported late, and it's hard for us to do our job when somebody says that they were in a fight like last week, I want you to do something about it. Or something was stolen from my apartment, and I had some friends over, and it was a couple weeks ago. And it's very hard, so time is everything as far as clearing cases and things like that. So we had, for some reason, this month we've had our share of late cases on that. Semi caught in a traffic light. If you want to know why the traffic was light at South Carolina, it's because it came out of Grace and Mercy, and for some reason that line, it was a regular height semi, but the line that went to the light, it caught the cab or the tractor part of the semi and ripped the line, and it kind of took Wagner, I think they call themselves something else now, a few hours to get that fixed. Yeah. We've been practicing, in light of everything, we've been practicing lockdown drills in Amelia High School, or Amelia Elementary School, I mean. 2 officers have been up there and have done this with them. And we finished the interviews, and they're all completed for the full-time police candidates. We have 2 candidates that were available and by the test and the interview procedure. One name was submitted above the other at this point. They both did pass the test and did very well on that. The background checks, the part-time officers have all been taken care of and are satisfactory, and 2 will be are going to be interviewed along with myself and the mayor on Friday. So that's pretty good. We're in pretty good shape there. The license plate reader, the LPR system of one of the cars is up and running. We've already had success on. We've arrested 2 that had warrants. What this does, it's mounted near your overhead lights, and it reads the license plate and comes back to the driver, and the driver needs to be valid and not wanted by anything. We've already had a couple instances where we pulled them over, and one of them said, "Well, how'd you know that I had warrants out for me?" But it automatically reads that. So it's proven to be successful already. We went down to Cincinnati Police Department, and they gave us MDTs. This is our B plan in case our A plan doesn't work out. The A plan is the JAG grant that we're supposed to find out about in either February or March. Hopefully that will go through, and if it doesn't, we have 11 tough book computers back there that they gave us for the other cars. We only need 3, but they tend to give you over amount. So the extra amount can be auctioned off or whatever we want to do with those. They're tough books, so they're really good shape too. So we have the docking units, and I've even got prices to install those in the car, which I won't present tonight, but we do have prices from Camp Safety to install those other 3 when it comes time, if it's necessary. I'd like to find out about the JAG grant first before we do all that, because it's all included in that price what I submitted there. The 2012 overview, I want to go over that a little bit. We've had a big year too, just like the mayor said. First of all, at the beginning of the year, if you remember right, we started with the OLEG and RMS system, and that's been very successful, saving the village $2,000 yearly on this type of reporting system. We organize the village disaster plans, and the disaster police, what I call police cheat sheet, for all the officers to be on the same page in case we have a disaster here. We revise the littering ordinance. We've got bulletproof vests. We've got them all fixed up with bulletproof vests. They're granted Bureau of Justice. It was recommended back a long time ago that we get 1 full-time and 2 additional part-time officers, and it looks like we're going to get that completed here soon. We've increased our margin as far as court revenues, and we've had record months. And I'm going to hand you out a comparison sheet between 2011 and starting in January 2012. So if you divide the sheet in half, you'll be able to see where we are this year as compared to last year. It's quite a noticeable difference right there. As a matter of fact, I think in citations alone, we went from 425 to 802. So we've been trying to slow traffic down and all that. We did the procedures and property and evidence policies. We redid the roll call policy. We did the 72-hour book policy. We did the revision of the official complaint against police department personnel. Our 9 officers for this entire year of 2012 attended 30 schools, which were all free, except for Linda's spring and fall training conference. All the officers were trained in the OLEG RMS system. They've all been trained in, retrained or recertified in guns, which is the short gun and the long guns, and the rifle. We participated in a drug take-back program, the Click It or Ticket campaign, the Memorial Day Parade, the police parade, as far as attending in the police memorial in London, which is a state one, and we also took part in the Christmas parade. So we've got a lot of things accomplished this last year, and statistically speaking, the carryover is almost 50% more than it was last year. So things are going real well. Matter of fact, I think they're going great. So, are there any questions or comments?
No, I'd just like to say I appreciate all the hard work and looking forward to a new year. We definitely came in the first year, you and I, with a big bang, so let's keep it going.
All right, thanks.
Fire chief report.
Excuse me, gave you a copy of our December report. Pretty busy month for the village. We made 44 EMS calls in the village and 16 fire calls in the village. Fortunately, none of those were extremely significant. As our times stay pretty consistent, as far as fire and EMS, right around 5 minutes as far as emergency response times. A little strange, we had the exact same amount of day incidents as night incidents, a little different. And same thing as far as advanced life support and basic life support. Not a lot going on in the fire department. We've been very busy, starting a new year. This trend continues, so we'll be above our numbers for 2012 again. We will be starting here probably sometime in late February, early March, doing our fire safety inspections throughout Union Township and the village of Amelia as well. So We try to get those usually in the spring and late fall, so those will begin here in the next month and a half. The Union Township Annual Report is in the works. It's all now being drafted together from all the different departments in the township. In 2012, we made 469 EMS calls to the village and 88 fire incidents. And as soon as that report is complete, I'll get you all a copy of it. Any questions, comments, concerns for me?
I have a question.
Yes.
The barn fire from back in the summer last year, what was concluded on that as to what started it?
It's a good question. Yeah, it is. Interviews have been done. There was a little bit of a spat going on, and they never came up with a definitive cause on that. It still is undetermined. It was suspicious, very suspicious.
So it wasn't a spontaneous combustion, in other words?
There was some indications that it may have all been part of a spat, but nothing had been definitive on that. The evidence kind of went away and nobody wanted to talk anymore. It's a little interesting.
Chief, where do we stand on, I know a couple years ago after the new school was built, on the radio issue inside the school? Give us an update on that.
Still where it's at. I mean, we don't have the funding to make that happen. What we do is that we have even an emergency response. We'll go to the inside crews. We'll go to a local channel so we can talk the inside. Keep one person close on an outside channel so that they can communicate with the outside. We're doing a public education event or something at the school, somebody has to stay outside with the unit because we lose communication in both the schools, Wilkinsville and Amelia.
I was gonna say, if you could refresh for anybody watching here tonight, exactly what you guys are talking about in the school.
In the new schools, just with all the insulation, technology, steel, the communication in there is very poor on our two-way radios. We can talk amongst ourselves inside the school, but we can't transmit out, and we don't get transmissions in depending on where we're at in the school. And if we're deep in the center of the school, we won't get hear a thing, as well as anything getting out. And some options looked at with a couple of vendors to put actually repeater systems inside the school, which would basically amplify our transmissions so we could get out, but they were financially not feasible. They were extremely expensive to do that. So we've opted right now for Plan B. Just we do not have the funding to make that happen. But I mean, we will, for lack of a better term, get by okay. It works. It's just a little cumbersome, but that's where we're at on that. You know, the figures were, I don't have the exact figures, but they were very expensive to make that work.
Now, would that fall on the school, or would that?
No, we approached the schools. They are in a financial distress themselves. Can't do anything with that. You know, I mean, for us to communicate, we were hoping that, had hopes that the school would be able to help us with that, but realistically, we knew that probably wasn't going to happen either, just because of funding. So, I mean, the bottom line, they just have to understand that, you know, there's going to be times that we can't come in and do possibly what you want us to do on public education wise, because we have a problem with communication. Like I say, we try to implement someone inside, someone outside, but there's times that we can't get deep in the school like we could if we had transmissions there. And our biggest concern is in a emergency situation, which we hope never happens in the school in the first place, but if we would have something very significant in the school, you know, over years of history, I guess you could call it, usually the biggest downfall in any emergency scene is communication. And if you don't have good communication, things can go bad pretty quick. So that's concerning to us. We just have to adjust for that and make that work.
I wonder possibly on our angle if we could look at either a Homeland Security type grant or a 911 grant.
Not a lot out there, and unfortunately, the grants are still out there. The assistance firefighters grants are still out there, but unfortunately, they've seen reductions as well. And those grants are usually put out, and we always keep a close eye. We have 3 or 4 grants out there right now. But there are so many agencies across the country that are in dire need of just the basic necessities because of, again, budget cuts and funding issues and tax revenue. It's very difficult to get a grant right now. It's tough. And again, the funding on the grant side is there, but it's not what it was in years past. We've been very fortunate. I've gotten 3 or 4 very nice federal grants, assistance to firefighters grants over the years for equipment, as far as new air packs, our burn trailer. But a lot of those funds are going away. There's been a very, very hard fight at the federal level from the U.S. Fire Administration to maintain those funds. At one point, they were afraid they were all going to go away. Luckily, they have not yet, but they're still. But we do. We diligently try to keep our eyes open for what's out there that we can apply for and then take a good shot at getting. And we'll continue to do that.
And I think you have the same problem with WT school.
We do. We do. Exact
Both
same.
these 2 new elementary.
WT and Amelia both the new schools have an identical problem. I mean, they're large. You get deep in the school, it gets very difficult. But we'll continue to monitor for options and things we can improve upon to make that system work better.
Now, you say the system's very costly.
It is.
What's the estimated amount?
And don't quote me, I'm thinking in the $70,000 to $80,000 range to do that per building. It was very expensive. And it would work very well, but it was very expensive. The other issues that we run into, we just run through rebanding of all the radios, which is required by the federal government. And that's a whole thing in itself that I don't understand it 100%. But the gentleman that told me that did our rebanding, as you narrowed the bandwidth down, you've also narrowed down your capability to communicate. And you may even find more issues in buildings than you did when the band was a little bit wider. I'm not a radio guru, I don't understand all that, but I got the drift that it may negatively impact us. And they're talking in 5 years from now doing it again. Because there's so many people trying to get on all the radios that they have to make more room. So but we'll keep monitoring that.
Okay. All right, thanks, Chief. We'll see what we can do on our side.
Thank you.
Public Works Report, Mr. Ricky Rowland.
Good evening. I have a short report tonight. We had on snow events, we've had 3 minor snow events as follows: December 27th, 29th, and January 15th. First 2 events were moderate, requiring 15 tons of salt each, and the third was a minor, about 6 tons of salt. We used 27 ton of our reserve salt that we had down at the county, with a remaining of 23 ton that we stored down there last year because of lack of space here. We still have about 145 ton in our salt barn, so we're good for most of the winter. Unless we have something really bad in the next 2 months, we're good. We've had repairs on the International, the Chevy Dump, and the John Deere, totaling $3,728.13. Installation of a light pole on January 20th. We installed a light pole at Auto Express due to prior removal as part of the widening of the Main Street project. Christmas decorations and tree pickup. All Christmas decorations were took down on January 8th. Christmas tree pickup has ended. Approximately 50 trees right in that area that we've picked up and disposed of. The update on the howitzer for the cemetery. We have been approved for the ownership of the 102-105 howitzer and have applied for certificate of ownership. This should be completed very soon. And that's about all. Any questions or anything else?
Any questions for Rick? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and jump to the zoning report.
evening, Mayor and Council. Not much of my report, you have mine in writing. We've issued, 12 permits since I came back from my knee surgery on the 8th, and then I've sent out about 12 letters of violation. There's a lot of basketball hoops along the roadways, so I've noticed all of a sudden popping up, so most of these letters are just basketball hoops on the street. I don't know why all of a sudden they showed up, but, I don't mind them in the driveway, but they can't be on the street, between the sidewalk and the street, so. If anybody sees anything, please let me know. Other than that, anybody have any questions?
Just for general reference, you had talked to me about Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut is putting in a delivery Pizza Hut up at by the dialysis center.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's not actually a sit-down restaurant, it's going to be a pick-up and delivery type restaurant,
Okay.
if anybody wants to know.
Okay. Thank you.
Recreation Committee report.
The only thing I really need to pass along is, that'll be here quicker than we know it, is the Easter egg hunt is scheduled for March 30th. That is a Saturday. That is the day before Easter at 11 a.m. at Spencer Shank Park. If you'd like to donate candy or eggs, you can find us on Amelia Rec. Is it Amelia Rec? I always forget what it is. On Facebook.
Amelia Village Rec, LEC.
Is it Amelia Village Rec, REC? You can get in touch with us on there or email myself and let us know. Or it can be, if Julie doesn't have a problem, can they drop candy off if somebody would like to drop candy or eggs off here between now and the time?
Sure.
Okay, you do that. And then we have a walk coming in June. And I'll give more information out as we get closer to that.
Okay. Any questions for the Recreation Committee? All right, we'll go ahead and move into legislation. Our first legislation is Amelia Village, Ohio Ordinance 0-2013-02, an ordinance continuing the appointment of Julie B. Carney to the position of village solicitor. At this time, this will be a first reading. Second piece of legislation you have in front of you is Amelia Village, Ohio Ordinance 0-2013-03, an ordinance appointing Raymond G. Marsh as full-time police officer for Amelia Village for a probationary period and declaring an emergency. At this time, I need a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings on 3 separate dates.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
This time I need a motion for the adoption of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
At this time, I need an adoption of the emergency clause.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
Did we get
His full-time will start January 28th, assuming that he passes his physical, which I don't foresee any problems with that. January 28th will be the start of the new pay period, and that's when he'll start as a full-time officer.
do we need to add his rate to that or not? Or we don't have that written?
It's in the ordinance, yep. Third piece of legislation is Amelia Village, Ohio Resolution R-2013-01, a resolution requesting the Claremont County Auditor to advance taxes and assessments from the proceeds of tax levies pursuant to Section 321.34 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency. This time I need a motion for the adoption of the resolution.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Kevin, roll call vote.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
Do we need to do this, make a motion for the 3 readings
Wait,
also?
3 readings, that's it.
This, I'm gonna go ahead and, we're gonna need to do a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings on 3 separate dates. So if I get a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on that? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
I'll make double sure. So now we'll do the adoption of the resolution. I need a motion for the adoption of the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
This time I need a motion for the approval of the emergency clause.
So move.
Second.
Motion, I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Dickerson.
Yay.
Ms. Elliott.
Yay.
Ms. Gerber.
Yay.
Mr. Thacker.
Yay.
Passes 5-0.
That ends our legislation for this evening. Is there any public input tonight? No public input, any council input?
I've got one. Nobody else does?
You have the floor.
Thank you. I just want to wish my daughter Cora a happy 12th birthday tomorrow.
Well, happy birthday, Cora.
Birthday, Cora.
We're live in the bunch for
I
that.
know.
Come on now, happy birthday, Cora.
Look everyone to sing.
Any other council input? We may require a special meeting. I will let council know. We're going to go with the insurance. We did get back insurance quotes. We got rejected from 3.
Yes.
And we will currently have to use our ongoing carrier that we have now, who came back with 2 proposals. One proposal is less insurance, about the same price, and the second quote is about a 30% increase on our current, what they have now. So we'll have a finance meeting Thursday night to discuss that. So, with nothing else, our next council meeting will be Tuesday, February 12th, 2013 at 7 p.m. Anybody else have any other?
Oh, I guess, well, I'll go along that line.
There you go.
It doesn't seem like it's been 3 years already, but my son will be home from the Army on Sunday. And it seems just like yesterday we sent him off.
It does.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
So, does he have 1 more year left?
No, he's done.
He's done.
He's done.
So
Great.
is he moving in with mom?
No.
Get that basement ready.
No.
Well, tell him we appreciate his service and
Thank
thank
you.
him for his
I
service.
will do that.
All right. Anything else? With nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all for coming.